You're tuned into Recovery TV, the voice of hope, with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Discussions and information on addiction and mental health issues. Here's your host, John J. Tassoni Jr., with today's guest.
Welcome to another edition of Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. Narcan, please get it. At the pharmacy, URI has it. Please carry it with you. It saves lives. We're down 7%. We need to go down further than that in overdose deaths here in Rhode Island. My guest today is Ms. Claudia Morandi, and Claudia is with the Doctor-Patient Forum, and also she's a local pain advocate. So welcome, Claudia, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me back.
So let's talk about where we're going with this issue of pain management. I get a lot of calls, I'm sure that you do. Mine is with the opioid and all the other stuff that goes along with it. Now we have legalization of marijuana, so there's a lot of things going on. Tell me about the pain community.
So I focus on people who can no longer get their pain treated because of this opioid epidemic that, you know, what we know now is that the CDC lumped heroin deaths with fentanyl deaths into prescriptions. So the number of people who died from prescriptions alone is actually much, much smaller than we originally thought, which is probably why we saw that 900% increase in deadly overdoses after the CDC guidelines came out. And what we're trying to do is basically get a federal law protecting doctors so they can start treating pain again. Because as you know, the elderly community in Rhode Island, they can't get their pain treated. Sickle cell patients, cancer patients, everybody is suffering. Doctors are afraid. And now these doctors are offering Suboxone, which you know about, to the pain community, and that just shouldn't be prescribed for pain.
Now you just indicated something to me that about doctors and what's happening to doctors. What's happening to the doctors?
Oh, they're too afraid. So they've thrown up their hands and they said, we don't want to be bothered treating pain. And I'm getting phone calls from, you know, Merriam Hospital, Rhode Island Hospital, Newport Hospital. Doctors are performing painful surgeries and they're only offering Tylenol, which we're taking 200 steps backwards. You have to treat pain in order to have a successful recovery. Nobody should be suffering, and now people are hitting the streets. And while we're seeing a slight decline in overdoses, that's not because of a reduction in opioid prescribing. It's probably because we're Narcanning a lot of the same people over and over again.
And it's the issue of the pain doctors. And I know we've talked about this. You send me emails on this about doctors in the Midwest and the West Coast that are getting put into jail.
Oh, sure.
Of this.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that.
Oh, we have innocent doctors incarcerated because what the Department of Justice has done, they've weaponized the 2016 CDC guideline, and that guideline's been codified in over 30 states, and these federal prosecutors figured out a great way to make a lot of money. They are arresting the doctors, seizing their assets, and today we have elderly doctors who remain incarcerated for treating pain. The DEA continues to stalk doctors who are treating ADHD as well as anxiety. And what I'm seeing now in Rhode Island, doctors are distancing themselves from writing scripts for ADHD medications. So the whole thing has been an abject failure. If you're not going to allow a doctor to treat pain, my best advice for the doctors, don't even bother paying for your DEA registration.
Oh, the other thing is too, you know, these folks that need these surgeries, and they're not given the amount of medication that they need to carry them through, and that's where we're seeing the elderly folks, especially in the high rises, now with knee surgeries, back surgeries, shoulder surgeries, can't get their meds, and they go to the street, and then they get the fentanyl.
Yeah.
Not only that, they're not even counted, I've been told, about these deaths that are in the opioid realm because they're under doctor's care. Have you heard that?
Well, I think each state counts drug deaths differently. The system is so fractured at this point, we need a new system to count deaths. Very few people have died after taking their prescribed opioid medications alone. We know that to be true. But not treating pain is a bad idea. There's nothing positive about this.
No.
And these pharmaceutical companies are always trying to come out with these opioid-free gimmicks. You and I have touched base on one of the new medications, suzetrigine, and it failed. It already failed in clinical trials. So right now, all harms are acceptable as long as you don't have to write a script for the pain pill. It's just bad. What I'm seeing also, if people are canceling surgeries, you know, they're just not willing to be abused in a hospital setting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that seems to be one of the main concerns that I have as someone who's in this type of business, is that when you need pain medication for whatever reason and you can't get it, that's a subject for failure.
Yeah, people get desperate.
On the brain, when you have a lot of pain and you can't subside the pain, and you start thinking outside the box, which is not good, you know, suicide and a bunch of other things that go along with it. It just seems that the system as a whole is broken, and broken badly.
Yeah, well, I think that's what happens when you listen to corrupt academia who have earned millions of dollars speaking out against pain medication. You know, you've got these Hollywood fictional series, Dope Sick, and people are, you know, accepting that as science. And I tell people, don't get your science from Netflix.
Right.
You know, there's just so many lies told about opioids. And at the Doctor-Patient Forum, we have so many resources for people. And we urge people, take advantage of those resources. We also have a Patreon subscription page, the Doctor-Patient Forum. Many doctors have signed up for it because doctors want to do something, but they're afraid. They're afraid of retribution from state medical boards, from the DEA, which is bananas because now you've got cops and lawyers practicing medicine without a license.
So what does your organization offer?
So we actually offer coaching calls, but we're also traveling to various states doing presentations. I organize support groups. If there's good legislation, we're going to fly out to people's states. We're going to support that legislation. And we're just really trying to push back this false narrative that if you take one pill, you're going to become a drug addict. You know, 99% will not be drug addicts because of a pill. Addiction is multifaceted. Right. And what I've learned about the folks who struggle with addiction, you know, they've just been self-medicating because there's such a lack of mental health services. Plus, a lot of untreated pain will turn into addiction because they're hitting the street out of desperation.
You know, that's what I said earlier, because the whole system is broken. Somebody or some people need to sit down in the room and try to figure this out, because this is not the way that it's supposed to be.
No, there's money to be made in it. So, you know, it's
well, take the money off the table. Take it off the table. I get what you're saying, but there's people suffering, and suffering badly, you know, because they can't get the scripts that they need for pain. And again, you hit the nail right on the head. The doctors are afraid to write the scripts because all of a sudden, you know, because everything's electronic now, everything goes to the Department of Health, it goes to other different places, saying, oh, John Tassoni's writing 16, you know, scripts a day for whatever the thing is. But I want to talk more about that when we come back, because I have to take a break so I can pay the bills. You're watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. We'll be right back after these messages.
And now, back to Recovery TV with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Recovery TV is made possible by our supporting sponsors and our title sponsor, AdCare. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome back to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, John Tassoni. Claudia Morandi is in the house, the Doctor-Patient Forum, and also the local pain advocate here in Rhode Island to help the people that are suffering from pain. You know, Claudia, let's talk about your website.
Yeah.
You know, people can get on your website, ask questions, talk to you. What's your website?
So we've got a great website. It's called the drpatientforum.com. And we also have a Facebook group for each state. So if you live in Rhode Island, you would search Rhode Island DPF. And we have all of those resources on the website. The name of it is the drpatientforum.com. And we also have a Patreon subscription page and that's updated many times daily. And my best advice to both the doctors and the patients is sign up for that Patreon page. You must stay informed on the issues because there's so much, fake news about opioids, and we're just trying to educate people and teach people about safe prescribing. And we also look forward to offering continuing medical education classes, hopefully to encourage doctors to start treating pain again with full agonist opioids, not gabapentin, not Cymbalta, not low-dose naltrexone. We know what works for pain. Full agonist opioids, tried and true pain relievers. They've been around for several thousand years. One of the greatest lies that's told now, John, and the first time I heard this was from the health department, where they started saying, turns out opiates aren't effective for pain. And you know what I say to that? Telling a patient that opioids aren't effective for pain or cause pain, it's a form of mental illness. You've got to stop with the lies. Can you imagine saying opiates cause pain, they don't relieve pain? And doctors are so flippant. They'll say, well, there's extensive studies. No, there aren't. There are no studies to support that the opiate causes pain. Morphine relieves pain. It doesn't cause pain.
Right. How many hits do you get on the website?
Oh gosh, I have about 500,000 people who just follow me on one platform, and then I have about another 50, 60,000 who follow me on Facebook, maybe 20,000 on X. Millions of people probably have learned about us, and we don't advertise. This was all because of social media.
So. Is that because there's so much of this out there that people are really, I don't want to use the word freaking out, but...
Oh, no, they are. Well, there's actually a suicide study being done now out of the University of Alabama for people who have died by suicide.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think because of this corrupt academia, we've got a lot of doctors who work at these colleges who have been paid millions of dollars to speak out against opioids. They're actually capitulating when they should be backing down and saying, wait a minute, this wasn't supposed to happen. Innocent people are dying by suicide. People with sickle cell, they're being under-medicated, and people will always find a way. We know that alcohol use has increased in seniors since they were ripped off of their pain medication. Cannabis use has increased, and while some doctors promote cannabis for pain, my constituents are telling me that it's just not effective for pain, and a lot of people don't want to drive high, right? I'm not a cannabis user, but I don't enjoy the smell of it. I don't want to feel high when I'm behind the wheel, and I wouldn't want my children to be high behind the wheel either. So,
one of the things that we talked about a long time ago when you first came on the show, how did you get involved in this?
Well, I was actually accused of being a drug seeker at Miriam Hospital many years ago. And I live with a debilitating form of Crohn's disease. And after that emergency room doctor said that to me, I was humiliated. He discharged me, and I was rushed back in the day later. And because of that doctor's egregious behavior, I needed to get a colostomy bag. And it was my mom, who's going to be 90. She said, if this is happening to you, this is going to be happening to other people. I went on social media. I announced I was going to organize a national protest. In 2017, we started with 4 members, now chapters in all 50 states. We are the largest pain advocacy organization in the United States, and now we're making our way to Canada, and Australia is also desperate for help.
Now, so this is a worldwide problem now.
Global issue, yes, and actually the WHO just unveiled new guidelines saying people need to be able to access controlled substances.
So if you have it in the United States, a problem in the United States, and you have it in Europe, if you have it in other countries, I don't understand. We got a lot of smart people. How they can't say, "Oh, time out. Let's fix this problem."
Well, there's a lot of money to be made speaking out against pain medication, right? It's considered in vogue. And now those corrupt academics have made their way. They've infiltrated other countries. We have journalists from other countries calling us saying, we don't have an opioid problem, but now they want to, they're telling doctors to stop treating pain because the lie that
that people pass with. And suicide is another thing. It's just like unbelievable to me that this can't get straightened out.
Yeah, it's unbelievable because we live in the smallest state in the country.
I'm not even
right?
talking. I'm not even talking Rhode Island. I'm talking. This is a national problem.
Yeah, but if
It's
Rhode
not just-
Island could fix it, then other states would follow suit. We were the first to get a law passed with your help, but the health department hasn't been willing to enforce the law, so it becomes useless.
Right, and it's also in a way where when you have individuals who suffer day in and day out with chronic pain, and you're absolutely right about the alcohol issue, because my residential folks right now we have surpassed the opioid issue now using alcohol, because now they're afraid, because they can't get their pain medication, to go to the street. And what's at the street? The street is fentanyl, and people are dying left and right with the fentanyl. So they rather go to the liquor store and buy a case or 2 cases or a bottle or 2 bottles, rather than take the chances of going in another direction.
Yeah, what a shame for our elderly, right?
It is.
I mean, your golden years, they're ripped away because of a bunch of lying college professors who found a lot of money.
Right.
You know, it was just a great way to make money for a lot of these people. All of these grants and this federal funding, and now doctors, we have evidence that doctors have received incentives to withhold pain medication. So yeah, there's much work to be done. What we really need is we need our United States senators to acknowledge what's happening, because that's the only way we're going to find our way out
Not
of
only
this.
senators, we need everybody to acknowledge
Sure,
what's happening.
absolutely.
We're going to take another quick break. You're watching Recovery TV, and I'm your host, Sean Tassoni. We'll be right back after these messages.
Now, back to Recovery TV with your host, John J. Tassoni Jr. Recovery TV is made possible by our supporting sponsors and our title sponsor, AdCare. Now, here's John and today's guest.
Welcome back to Recovery TV, and I'm your host, Sean Tassoni. Claudia Morandi is in the house today, and we're talking about pain. PIA, pain in the butt. The Doctor-Patient Forum and local pain advocate, Claudia Morandi. So, Claudia, let me ask you this question. What can, you said, well, we did it together. We passed a piece of legislation. You indicated the health department is not doing anything with it. What can they do?
Well, we need the Rhode Island Medical Society to join forces with the Rhode Island Health Department, start a campaign encouraging doctors to treat pain again with medications like OxyContin and oxycodone and hydromorphone. Let's take the ugliness away from those words. The same campaign that the Rhode Island Health Department issued to discourage doctors from treating pain, we need to do that. That's the only solution. We need to offer incentives to doctors to start treating pain again. We need to give these doctors immunity so they don't have to worry about being terrorized by lawyers who serve the Rhode Island State Medical Board. We need to get lawyers out of the equation. But, at the Doctor-Patient Forum, we have a presentation that we do throughout the country, and we have the solutions, but we need health departments, public health officials who are willing to learn, who are willing to change the system.
Yeah, and that's going to be difficult. But we have to do it. We have to try.
Right.
The most we can do is say we tried it and they didn't want to deal with it. So, I want to congratulate you and your organization on moving across the 50 states and try to help, especially the seniors, get help, because that's the most vulnerable population right now. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for being an advocate. I know it's not easy. It's very difficult, as I'm in the same boat. Nobody wants to listen to anybody who keeps squawking, but thank you for joining us. So
Thanks for having me.
So next week we have Dawn Allen from Thrive. We're talking about the new CCBHCs that are in Rhode Island. If you see something, say something. We'll see you next week.